Like the hydrogen, you know, they wanted to say somebody is on it, so I don't sound like that.
I'm glad you did.
All right. We're gonna get the meeting started. Thank you for being here. My name is Lieber, for those of you online. I'm the club president. Today is December the 7th. Thursday is a beautiful day outside and in here because you guys are here. As a reminder, we have guests that are watching online as well. The meeting is recorded. We need to turn up the volume that way. Yeah. And just a reminder to whoever sitting in that front desk, or guests can hear you online as well. So we're gonna get the meeting started today. We have Dr. Lieber who's gonna lead us in prayer. So we're gonna get started. If you guys can stand up.
It is the second week of Advent, and also today is the first day of Hanukkah, and so it's a doubly holy season. Would you join me in the spirit of prayer? Eternal God, we give you thanks for the blessings of this day, for the beautiful weather that we are celebrating, for the work of this club. We ask your spirit to be upon us, to bless this food, to take it to nourishment of our bodies, and to keep us this day in your peace. In the name of the Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Dr. Lieber. And yes, we are getting ready for a lot of good stuff this holiday season. A couple of things that we want to talk about later on is the kettlebell ringing, which is going to show a video. But before that, we're going to have Ryan lead us to the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join me with your hand over your heart in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we haven't done a song in a while, so we're going to have Past President Shane.
It's also Pearl Harbor Day.
Yes, it is Pearl Harbor Day as well. A less festive remembrance.
Yes.
But to help get us in the holiday spirit, I want y'all to join me in singing Jingle Bells. Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh, o'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtail ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Thanks, y'all. Happy ending.
Well, if you're online or watching this, you're missing out. See you next time. And Pastor Shane is going to bless with another song as well. We do have some visiting guests today, and John, do you want to introduce your guest?
Yeah, because
Okay, you left.
she left.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
You didn't like what was going on.
Out of here.
Whoa. All right, there she is. I see her cheat sheet.
Carol Van Buren, the eminent lawyer from Charlotte, North Carolina.
All right. Carol. And you're welcome to come anytime. Is she visiting or she lives here?
Oh, right.
Okay, well, if you ever move here, you know where to go. All right, we also have Jane as a guest, previous councilman Mark Sefke. All right, thank you for being here. And as you guys know, we have Ivan Lemos as well. It's one of our new members. Welcome. And in a second, I'm going to introduce the guests, but before we do that, and we get to, we're going to try to give them as much time as possible. We do have Kathy Howard with an announcement that we're planning for not this next Thursday because there's no meeting next Thursday. The club is having a function, but the following Thursday.
We're gonna have a lot of fun. Want everybody to bring a $5 gift. You don't have to wrap it professionally, but do kind of cover it up. You know what I mean? So you can't tell what it is. And we're going to, it's gonna be different. We're gonna greet you at the front, and we will have a surprise. And then you will follow directions, and we will have a lot of fun.
Okay.
Okay? That meeting also is an ugly sweater meeting. So you wear your ugly sweater.
Okay.
And we're going to have a group photo taken for Ed McCarty's book. Please think about that. You want to be here so that you can be in this photograph. Do not avoid it.
So to recap, no meeting next Thursday. The following meeting, bring a gift, $5 or so gift. And you're gonna follow directions and we're gonna have a lot of fun. Right?
Because we have a real meeting.
Perfect. And then something that's currently happening is the coat drive. So as you guys know, we're collecting coats. Terry's been very involved in getting all that going and coordinated. So make sure you guys bring coats. Something that we just put together with the help of a couple of Rotarians team, Ryan, Dr. Parra, and Terry, is that at the Irving Frost Marathon, which is happening on December 16th, we have about 2,700 runners coming. They're going to be cold in the morning, so we're asking them to bring a nice coat. We're going to have a section by the start line that they can spark of their coat, that they can wear up to that point to keep them warm before they start. And then we're going to have some U-Hauls available to drop us off where they're needed with the nonprofit that we're helping out. So that's going on. Any other announcements from the club before we keep going? Great, okay. Well, we're gonna have a speaker come up with just a little bit about him. Our program today features Dave Lieber, the Watchdog investigative columnist for the Dallas Morning News. Dave is a certified professional speaker, rode a bull in a rodeo or two, interviewed the Imperial Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, KKK, lived in a nudist colony for 3 days for a newspaper story, and once helped solve a murder. I'm just reading what's here. Yeah, Florida with a newspaper columnist, that was a popular keynote speaker, coach, and trainer whose programs delight dozens of audiences every year. His latest columns are available on the Dallas Morning News Watchdog page. He fights for Americans and shows them how to save time, money, and aggravation. He works to expose corruption and uses stories to make positive change.
All right. Hey.
And then
Thank you very much. Except we have a slight problem. I'm not Dave Lieber, I'm Thomas J. Henry. And I'm looking for clients. Anybody here have a traffic accident on the way home? Tractor trailer would be really what I'm looking for. He's paid my salary. So I'm happy to be here, and rather than tell you I'm happy to be here, I will show you how happy I am to be here. This is about you, okay?
Okay.
In 1937, a beacon shone bright. Heart embraced Irving's heart embraced the Rotary Lane. 8 decades later, woven, goodwill spun, a tapestry of service, a tale begun. Thursday noons, a gathering true, camaraderie and service, a dedicated crew. January's breath, a call to arms, disease prevention where compassion warms. Lazaro, Bill, leaders strong, guiding lights, a melody of song. David, Donna, Jose, and Jordan's hand, the legacy etched in service they stand. Through the years, the heroes respond. A symphony of selflessness, love abounds. Noon's bell tolls, the celebrations cue, Irving, Las Colinas Rotary, ever anew. So, I don't know, do you know who this gentleman is? Raymond Carter. Raymond Carter, and he, let's see, Mr. Carter, please stand here. Mr. Carter, you know, you all know this probably, but he owned the Star Telegram, he created Channel 5, and he also created WBE Radio. But what a lot of people don't remember about him was he was a Rotarian. He started the Fort Worth Downtown Rotary, but he couldn't make the meetings every week. So they had to change a rule just for him, so he could actually come. But in 1928, the Rotary was very concerned because he was going to the Democratic National Convention at the Rice Hotel in Houston in 1928, the first Democratic convention in the South since the Civil War. And they knew what happened to this man when he would go to events like that. Do you guys know what the meaning of the words giggle water and silly juice are? Those were terms in the 20s for alcohol. So they, at the downtown Rotary Fort Worth meeting before the convention, they called him up and asked him to take an oath. He put his hand on a Bible. He said, I, Raymond G. Carter, do solemnly swear that while I am in Houston for the 10th benefit, I will not partake in the giggle water. So help me God.
Wow.
They were afraid that if he went there and he got drunk and made a fool out of himself, it would reflect poorly on Fort Worth and also on the Rotary.
Wow.
Well, guess what? He didn't follow his oath. He started to drink. And he drank for 3 days. Wow. He was so excited. The Democrats were in town. So the third day, he was impatient. He was standing by the elevator in the lobby. The elevator wasn't coming. He grabbed a pearl-handled pistol out of the sheriff of Tarrant County's holster and even pointed the gun at the elevator shaft and said, "You damn elevator, get here now." And then he went bang, 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 and he shot into the elevator shaft. And the funny thing is, the elevator stopped. It worked. He got on. Someone called the police. They came and investigated. He said, no, I hit it with the butt of my gun. I didn't hit with bullets. And sure enough, it looked just like bullet holes. But they didn't do anything to him because he was Raymond G. Carter, one of the most powerful men in Texas. And they didn't want to embarrass, themselves in Texas with this negative press, so they let it go. Now, everybody in this room would have quit at that point, and he even stopped drinking, but he didn't. He kept drinking. Later, he knocked on the hotel room door of the most famous political writer in America, a man named H.L. Lincoln of the Baltimore Sun. He said, H.L., let's play. Lincoln's typing. He says, I can't even, I gotta finish this story on deadline for the newspaper about the convention. And he said, come on, man, let's play. Megan said, will you just leave me alone? So Eamon goes over to the window. He pulls out his own pistol, which he carries, and he shoots 4 shots into a building across the street, which turns out to be the meeting room of the Ku Klux Klan. People aren't sure whether they should like this or not. But the Texas Rangers came this time, and they said, we're investigating this. And they couldn't find the gun because he had hidden the gun under H.L. Lincoln's bed. But they did see 3 bullet holes in the screen window. And so they got that in evidence, and they decided not to arrest him or do anything. He told them if they ever get to Fort Worth to give him a call, because he'd take good care of him. He lied. He told the police he didn't do it. He came back to the newspaper and told the editors he didn't do it. And most of all, he lied to his family and said it never happened. He lied to the Saturday Evening Post. But in my play that I wrote about him, which has been performed 52 times and will be performed 4 times next month in Waxahachie, Amy, the Ultimate Texan, he has a drink of whiskey. He puts his feet on the desk and he's going to confess to the audience for the first time that, yeah, he did shoot those And they took that store window with the three billables and they hung it in H.L. Lincoln's office for the rest of his career. 30 years later in his memoirs, after he died, they came out and he told a story about how I was shooting up the elevator. And you know, my story about Amy Carter is really a lot like Hamilton, you know, because we both brought back founding fathers to the stage. The only difference between my story and Hamilton is $500 million and a Pulitzer Prize. 46 really good songs. But you know, I like to say that Aaron Burr shot shot Alexander Hamilton, and Eamon Carter shot an elevator. So I wrote a book about Perot, and they both ran his plays. Perot, American Patriot. And I fell in love with the Perot story because these are two very, very strange men. They basically set us up in Dallas County and Fulton County. With Perot, you know, what amazed me about him was he started off with a $1,000 investment in electronic data systems. It's his computer company that he created in the late 50s. And that right now, according to Forbes, the company is worth $4 billion, which is incredible. 1,000 to that much. But I love to talk about how when he came to Dallas for the first time in 1957, he and his wife Margo were driving in their Plymouth from Pennsylvania, where he was born, and they were going to Dallas for his first job out of the Navy as an IBM salesman. And everything they owned was in the back seat of the car and in the trunk. They started with nothing. He gets to the apartment complex and he says to the landlord, you know, $115 a month is really expensive. He said, can you guys lower my rent? Because see, his father back in Texarkana taught him the three most important words of business are negotiate, negotiate, negotiate. And the landlord says, I'll tell you what, I need a handyman, a landscaper, and a superintendent to take care of the property. And he said, if you do that, I'll lower your rent $20. And so Perot took it, $95 a month rent. So the only problem is, if you were living in that apartment complex in North Dallas in 1957, 1958, and your toilet broke, Ross Perot would come and fix it, you know, which is really quite amazing. You know, going back to this guy now, I'm just gonna switch around a little bit. He hated Dallas. Does everybody here know that? He hated Dallas with such a passion that he did everything he could to ruin Dallas's name and to steal business. There was a verb in Dallas called the Carter. And to Carter meant to take the business away and move it to Fort Worth. Why is American Airlines over to Fort Worth and not Dallas? It's because of this man. He was on the board of affairs. What he wanted, he got. But going back to Perot, he starts his job at IBM. And he turns out to be the best salesman that IBM ever had. He made his quota of sales by the middle of January every year. And they lowered his salary and his commissions because he was making more money than his bosses, which is really incredible. But he worked. The other guys, the other salesmen, they'd meet for coffee in the morning and chit chat. And then in the afternoon, they'd meet for lunch, but have 3 martinis. And then at night, they'd have a happy hour. He didn't do any of that. He just worked. He sold computers. Computers back then in the 50s were like giant boxes like this, and they cost $1 million. Everybody had to have one, but no one knew how to run it. So he realized this wasn't going to work for him because, you know, he was doing too well. He wasn't making enough money. So he came up with 2 really cool ideas. And if IBM had accepted those ideas, the world would be different today. The first one, he said, is we sell hardware, but we don't sell software. So when we sell a computer to a company, they don't actually know how to do it. We should make software. IBM said, no, we don't want to do that. The second idea he had was we should rent out the computers that aren't being used from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. in the middle of the night. They said, no, we don't want to do that. So he quit. Actually, before he quit, though, he was motivated by this Reader's Digest. See, Perot, where are you? There you are. Okay. Perot was so straight arrow that one of the reasons he left the Navy was because all the other men on the ship were fornicating when they go to shore. And he was the straight Arab who wouldn't cheat on his wife. So he would stand there on the quarterdeck and give them penicillin pills. And you know, back in the 50s, you went to the 60s, you went to the barber shop, you read Playboy magazine, that's what they had there. And he read Reader's Digest. And this is the exact issue of Reader's Digest that he read. It was December 1961. He's reading the story about Henry David Thoreau of Walden Pond. And there's a quote in there, and he reads it, it strikes him. Really. It says, the mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. And he read it again, the mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. And I thought, that could be me, I've got to do something about it. So he goes home, he tells his wife, I'm going to start this computer company called Electronic Data Systems, which turned out to be, you know, one of the great companies in American tech history. And, you know, one of the things I liked about Thoreau was he bought a country club in Dallas to use as his headquarters, but he didn't close down the country. He kept all the amenities. He kept the pool, the tennis court, the clubhouse, the golf, everything you can imagine in the country. He kept, which is really far ahead of his time, because now that's what companies do. They do for the people back in the 50s, they do that, you know. But as progressive as he was on that, the country club, he was regressive when it came to the dress code, right? Everybody knows what the rules were here. Yes, you couldn't have a beard, you couldn't have a mustache, you had to have short hair like him. You had to wear a white shirt with a skinny tie, dark pants, and really shiny shoes. And for the women employees, it was even worse. They had to wear dresses certain inches below the knee. And if they didn't have the right dress on, they had to go home and change. And I noticed some of your female Rotarians here are wearing pants, and I'm thinking I ought to just send you home today. Back to Amy. He hated Dallas so much that he just went into town. He convinced people to move their offices from Dallas to Fort Worth. He one time went to Sinclair Oil. Remember Dino the dinosaur? He was at their national headquarters in New York, and he saw a map of the country, and there were push pins all over for all the places that Sinclair had offices in. He walked up to the map, and he saw that Dallas had a push pin in Fort Worth, didn't he? He pulled the push pin out of Dallas, and he put it in Fort Worth. He said, y'all are going to do this. And they did. They moved an office to Fort Worth for him because they were scared of him. I mean, he ran the newspaper, he ran the media station, he ran TV, and he did something you didn't like, you didn't talk about it. No one talked about it. Well, they did talk about it primarily when he divorced his first wife, divorced his second wife, and then married his third wife, who was 25 years younger than him. You did not do that in the 40s and 50s. If you didn't like it, who were you going to complain to? This guy owned the soul of the heart of Tarrant County. And one of the ways that came clear to me was through this. This is the official program of the Casa Mañana Fort Worth 1936 Centennial Fair. The worst that could happen to him was Dallas got the fair. So Dallas put $17 million in the fair park. But Amy was so upset, he decided to announce his own affair without consulting anybody. He said, those guys in Dallas think they got everything going, they got all that money. Well, we're going to show where the West really begins. We're going to put on our own affair. And all the men in the room threw their shady old hats would be given them up in the air. And they're like, yeah, we're going to do it. But what they didn't realize was they were going to pay. Because when Amy Carter said, I need money, you gave him money. He raised $1 million. And I read about this thing, but it never really did well until I went to the teaching library and went through 444 boxes of his papers. And I found a program for his own rival fair. And on the cover is a drawing of a naked woman. This is not from underground sheet. This is the official program of the fair. And then you go through it and you see that he hired Broadway Billy Rhodes to be his director at $1,000 a day for 100 days. And then you have all the casts and the songs that they were singing at the theater. What was the theater called that they built in 6 months in Fort Worth for this fair? What was it called? Casa Mañana. Yeah. But it's not the same one there. They ripped it down later on. But so they have 2 bands in there playing, and they have waiters, open arena, and there's a moat and there's water. And so I'm flipping through this program, and I begin to see some things that really kind of shocked me. In the official program, I began to see photographs of naked women. You see that? Can you see that? They would airbrush, Photoshop things out, but I mean, this is just bizarre. This is 1936 in Fort Worth, which is really the belt buckle of the Bible, the buckle of the Bible belt, right?
Yeah.
And then it just keeps going. I mean, on and on and on, all the way through the official program. And I thought, what is going on here? I mean, Fort Worth is just not that kind of a place. It wasn't back then, really. And it turns out that he owned the city, sold so much that anything he wanted, he could get it. If he told them we're gonna have liquor and gambling and prostitution and naked women, because that's what he ended up doing. He told Broadway Billy Rose, we gotta bring in the most famous female performer in America. Does anyone know her name? I gave a hint when I said naked. Sally Rand, and as a character in the play says, you know you're smart. Sally Rand was a fan dancer, a bubble dancer, a feather dancer, depending on the wind. She wore a tight bodysuit. She looked completely naked on stage, and they built her own pavilion at the fair in Fort Worth. They called it Sally Rand's Dude Ranch, and the sign cut out the D and made it Sally Rand's Dude Ranch. And it cost 25 cents to see her perform. And there was a sign outside that said, "Welcome to Sally Rand's Dude Ranch, the only educational exhibit on the grounds." Well, I thought that was like a true sign, and finally a few years ago I figured out what it was. It was an alibi. Because Mom would take the kids, and these people came in from West Texas to this fair, and Mom would take the kids and say, "Joe, want to go play games at the Carnival Midway while Dad goes to the education exhibit?" That's how that works. They charge 25 cents for that. But so to compete with him on that, Dallas brought nudity in. I mean, this guy's corrupting the whole region. He put up a neon sign across on the Fair Park, across from the main entrance in Dallas, and it said, "Come to Fort Worth, 45 miles west for wild and whoopee." I don't know about you, but I can handle wild and whoopee. So that's some aim and stuff. Let me tell you a little bit more about Mr. Perot here that I really like. I don't have time to talk about him running for president. I don't have time to talk about all his great philanthropy and all about his upbringing and all the interesting things, and also the fight that I had with the family, which led to this book, which is a whole other story. But I do have time to talk about the thing I admire most about him, which is his ability to do great pranks. Can you imagine being worth $7 million and you want to prank something? So one of my first pranks that I came across that he did was he was in a store in Dallas that's bushes. And there was a bush that was 12 feet tall, was carved out to look like a naked woman. And he said, it was a topiary, and he said, "I'll take 6 of these." He said, "Drop them off in my yard and I'll take care of them." So they brought these 6 naked bush statues to his house. In the middle of the night, high society, high flying down socialites. Now, when the women woke up, 3 of the women saw the bush and they were horrified. They said, "Get that junk out of here." But the other 3 were so proud. They knew it was for Perot. They were so proud that they one lady in my book, there's a picture of her. She put floodlights under it. So the other day I spoke to a woman's club about this. And as soon as I brought up this statue, all the women turned around and pointed at this lady. And she was like 80 years old. And I said, "Well," I stopped my talk. I said, "What's going on?" They said, "She got one of them bushes." No. And I said, "What's your name?" And she said, "Mrs. Deadman." Deadman School of Law. I asked her, "Did you keep it?" She said, "Yes, I did." She says, "I still have it." So his daughter, Suzanne, was moving back to Dallas, and she was married to Patrick. And Ross said, "Hey, I'll get you a nice place to stay." And so Suzanne and Patrick drive up to the address, and it's broken down Dooley's trailer, all crushed in, broken windows. And there's an outhouse next door to it that says, welcome to Baghdad. So Patrick says, I'm gonna get your father back. And Suzanne says, no, you can't get him back. He'll outspend you and no. Patrick says, I'm gonna get him. And sure enough, a few weeks later, it's almost Christmas. There's an ad in Dallas 20 years, it's a camel for sale. And Patrick said, I need to buy this camel and I want you to deliver it to the Burrow house on Christmas morning. So they bring this camel to the front gate, and the family is opening their presents, and they look out the window and they go, oh, look, someone bought us a stuffed camel. They just said the camel went like this. So they brought the camel in, and Burrow was thrilled. He said, can I keep him for a few days? And Patrick said, you can keep him forever, Dad, because I bought him for you. He's yours. And Burrow named him after his favorite president, Teddy Roosevelt Burrow. And TR, the camel, lived on that property for 2 years. And then they moved him to the Circle T Ranch near where I live, where he lived another 10 years. And I'd see him all the time when I was driving. And when he died, he was the only camel that got an obituary in the newspaper. Burrow said, how come you got this for me, Patrick? And Patrick said, everyone needs a camel. So when they put EDS on the stock exchange, Burrow made 240.
It would be the first time, Don.
Forbes magazine said it was the fastest, richest Texan ever. So the New York stockbrokers come down and they're gonna teach Burrow, you're gonna ring the bell on the stock exchange, you're gonna say this and that. And after lunch, right before lunch.
I doubt it, yeah.
I'm gonna take you down to a special restaurant.
Oh, you got the cookies and ask, did anybody try the cake? Is it good?
Is everything okay? Had a voice talk. He says, I'm gonna take you guys out to a billionaire's lunch club in Dallas. Have you ever been to a billionaire's lunch club? And they go, no, sir. And he gets them in the car and he drives across the street to JR's barbecue, where this little hole in the wall barbecue guy is totally in on the prank. He's greasy, he's filthy, he's and he's cutting meat when they walk in. Are you the guys from New York? And they go, yep, no. And they go, well, I got you a special today in honor of you being here, barbecued armadillo.
Oh.
And they're like, and they sit
Thank you,
down.
now that you're here.
All right. You're the only person
Right?
that said
So
that.
this guy, they don't like it.
Oh, yeah. Laura, how's my people acted out there?
They've been good.
Good.
People forgot it was them that was there and kind of freaked out. That everyone got turned off. So, well, you know.
And what's going on? Yeah.
It looks like it's been good.
Don Butler, said they plan on coming back again.
Wonderful. Yay.
They're impressed with you.
Good. I'm glad. Did you have any of your people attending?
Oh, yeah.
And there's a hot dog stand.
We invited pretty much the whole outfit.
Oh, good. Okay.
A lot of our person.
Good. I'm glad.
His son said, Junior said,
That's because they know the fire marshals. You get away with it.
They're like, last,
I've been. You will always outspend, but he has more time to do. I haven't mentioned yet how Mr. Burrow ran for president. I actually voted for him in 19. Remember when he was on the Larry King show? And I said, hey, you gonna run for president?
Would have liked to have known a while back, yeah.
50 states. So then something miracle happened. He did get on the ballot in all 50 states. They called it Burrowmania. He was leading in the polls. The Times CNN poll had
It is time for them to go home.
President George H.W. Bush was at 28%, 10 points lower, and Governor Clinton was around 10. And so they were kind of like, who is this guy? And so I'll show you the campaign and a few covers. So this one from Times says, waiting for Perot. He's leading the polls, but can he lead the nation? Well, when you start to run president, they ask you a lot of questions. They had a lot of questions about him. And they asked him about his golden parachute from General Motors, which I didn't talk about here. which he got $750 million just so he would lead General Motors. They asked him about why he left the Navy early. They asked him about different things. He hated it. CEOs are like, this time says nobody's perfect. Think about lost ground. And what's interesting about this is they're starting to make the black border on the side, which is like a few areas. They just thought, he wasn't part of the establishment. Well, the funny thing about my book and I play about grow is it's not about money, it's about love. It's about heritage, it's about passing traditions. And when he found out that the Republicans were going to do some tricks to his two daughters, he put love first, and he did something that nobody expected. He quit the race. Do you remember when he quit the race? Nobody knew it was coming. So he's off the whole summer now. He's out. He's on the ballot. He's never campaigning. And then in the middle of August, he jumps back in the race. This is kind of cool because the way they covered it, stuff there from the bottom there, sneaking back in the race. Can you see that? You can see that?
Yeah.
I just love, you see that in the back there?
Yes, sir.
Sneaking up.
You okay?
So, they put him in the debates.
I understand.
He did really well. He won the debates because they said his folksy classic humor was something that Americans wanted to hear. He wasn't focus group. He just spoke from the heart.
Sure, it's not.
And he ended up with 19% of the vote, which is 1 out of 5, which is incredible. Only Teddy Roosevelt is 0. Got that many in the third party. He hadn't quit, all things would have been different. All right. Let's go back now to this gentleman, Eamon. He, in World War II, was going on in Europe, and they decided they needed to have a bomber plant built somewhere in the United States. So if we got pulled into the war, we had planes that could drop bombs. So they put out the RFP, and Fort Worth didn't have an economic development director or anything like that. He did all the work. He ran the town. So he puts in a proposal. He says Fort Worth has the best climate, the best people, and the best land. You need to build your plant here. He was best friends with FDR. He thought he was surely going to get it. Then the second worst thing happened. First would have been a Dallas guy. Tulsa. They gave it to Tulsa, and he flipped out. He had what they call mad spells back then. He started calling generals. They hung up on him. He used to sign letters, and he signed the governor of Texas' name at the bottom, not his own. If I signed the Greg Abbott letter, I'd be in prison. And so he pushes this campaign so hard between Christmas and New Year's of 1940, the year before Pearl Harbor, that they decide to make an announcement. They say, we've changed our mind. We're going to do something before. We're going to keep it in Tulsa. We're also going to build one in Fort Worth. And he should be happy because he's getting his plan in Fort Worth, but he's not. He calls President FDR. He said, look, there's a problem here. Tulsa's going to be a mile long. Mine's going to be a mile long, and I got to have the biggest building because Texas has the biggest building. So FDR says, well, what the heck do you want? He said, I want another 30 feet. So when it opens up, mine's 30 feet longer. So FDR thinks this guy was crazy, but he gives him the 30 feet. And so when it opens up, it's fully air conditioned, a mile long and 30 feet. And what is it doing today? Who's there today in that big plant? Right, Joe Adams, which is now Lockheed Martin, right, making the best power. And so, they said that the Brigadier General, when he put his shovel into the ground with Amon Carter for the groundbreaking, he said this is going to be Hitler's loss. Because we had 2 power plants, one could handle Asia and one could handle Europe. If we didn't have that second plant for war, we might all be speaking German today. Yeah, no offense to anyone who speaks German. Let me wrap this up. The play on Amon, I read 52 times in 6 Texas cities, and people love it. But if you go to it and the character says, "Anybody here from Dallas? Do not raise your hand." That's all the comedy. I counted. There's 127 laughs in this play that I wrote. I didn't even write it to be a comedy. It just turned out to be one. But we have 4 shows coming up in Waxahachie, in the Texas Theater in January and February. And I brought some sheets if anybody's interested, with the information. Or if you know somebody that lives in Waxahachie around there would like to see the play, it's really, really fun. Let's see, I brought some stuff with me in case you're looking for some really cool Christmas presents. This Eamon has, it's fun book, it has like 100 photographs in it because he was such an egomaniac and he had a photographer go wherever he went. And so there were no shortage of big pictures. The Perot story, I call it my journey to discover Texas top family because I was literally at war with them over some land deals they were doing over by Westlake Lions Circle T. And I wrote stories in the paper and they would call and complain about me. One time a private investigator did a little investigation. I mean, they played hardball, but they lost. And I then watched them carefully over the next 20 years. I've come to respect them as Texas top family. We could go through all the things that are named after these two gentlemen, but you know, Amy Carter Stadium, World Museum, it just goes on. I also brought, when I decided to propose to my wife 28 years ago, I decided to do it in the newspaper. And I wrote a column in the Star Telegram and said, here in Texas, I've met the woman of my dreams. Unfortunately, she lives with the dog of my nightmares. And I talked about how we met, her 2 kids and this dog I hated me because I'm a native New Yorker, this is a native Texan. And then there's another 100 stories in this little fun book about life here in Texas. I also brought my consumer book called Watchdog, which shows you how to fight back, and it just basically takes care of all problems. People that have this book really don't have problems with AT&T and the electric company because they know what to say and how to say it. Because I've been doing that job. You know, I did 10 years at the here at the Gospel News and 20 years at the Star Telegram. So I've got all that. I've got a credit card machine. I'd love to sign for you. If it's a Christmas gift, I'll write Merry Christmas. Before I sit down here, doing good on time, a little bit. Do you have any questions or comments about anything? Yes, ma'am.
Well, now, are you gonna, as you assume the David Carter character, are you gonna assume
I'm not David Carter. We have an actor. He's all of it. He was on the Burville School Board. So I don't have.
I thought you were characterized him.
No, I don't play it. I don't act it either. We got actors that play it.
Just wrote the thing. But is somebody gonna do that?
Well, yeah, we have this actor. He's done all 52 shows.
Oh, okay.
He's fantastic. He's become Eamon Carter. It's scary. He knows more about Eamon Carter than I do. He corrects me. Oh, Perot. The thing about the Perot plays, we did 9 shows. They were sellouts. Then the director died. And so I lost my rabbi. Well, I don't know when the Perot play will be coming back, but I'll just tell you that he dies, doesn't know it. He comes into a room, it's the audience, he sees people, he thinks he's running for president again. And then this angel comes and she says, sit down and let's talk about your life. And he acts out the moments of his life. And then at the end of the play, I'm not ruining the ending. At the end of the play, she gets a phone call. And she says, thank you very much for letting me know. And Perot, he says, you know, it's time for me to go home. My wife is expecting me. And she goes, you're not going home. You're going to a better place. And I'll just give you a hint. He didn't go to hell.
Oh,
No, he didn't go to hell. The amount of good things that he's done for people. It's just, we don't have time to talk about it, but, you know, philanthropy, his mother taught him the concept of philanthropy, which is not giving money. It really means love people. And so, you know, he spent thousands of dollars, millions of dollars on people who got sick, and he'd fly them up to the Mayo Clinic, and he'd get the best doctors in the world, and then he'd fly back to Southwestern and put the suite. He'd talk to the nurse and talk to the doctors and the family. He hardly knew these people. He would just take on cases like that. Really a remarkable man. This man here had his nutty moments, but that man there was as straight and sober as you could ever be.
well, with that, I read the Eamon book, not the Perot book. That was such a great book. So if y'all want a fun book to read, that was it. But I want to thank you for your columns in the Dallas Morning News. You pick out for all those issues that we all want to and don't know exactly how, and you tell us how. You lay it out there, and then I just, we all appreciate that.
I appreciate that. I have membership cards to what I call Watchdog Nation, the video on the table. And what you do, you take that card, and when someone tries to hurt you, like the plumber says, I'm coming to your house, it's $400. He gets there, and he goes, oh no, it's $8. And then you pull out the card, and you say, do you know who I am? I'm a member of Watchdog Nation, and I'm friends with Dave Lieber, the Watchdog in the morning news. In fact, we were at lunch together at Las Colinas Country. And, you know, he told me that if I ever meet anybody like you who's trying to rip with me off, taking advantage of a woman, he said to let him know, because he wanted to write about it in the newspaper. And then they back. This little 4-cent card has saved so many people all this money. Because I just realized that these bad guys and their corporations and scammers, there you go, he's got them. They don't care about us. So we have to make them fear us. That's what I teach in that book. If I just, you know, the other day I opened up my computer, there was 1,600 emails from people who had problems. And, you know, I'll write about as many as I can, not as many as I can. I send stuff to AT&T every week. They fix it because they're afraid I'm going to write about them in the newspaper.
We make a difference.
Thank you. And I'm really lucky that I get to work with the newspaper that supports this. Yes, sir.
I've read the Watchdog Nation, great book,
Well, thanks.
very helpful, very, very helpful.
This is really cool when people say they've read my book and like it. I mean, I get a lot of emails from people that don't like what I write. Fighting with a lawyer right now. It's going to be a story about how a Dallas jury awarded $500,000 to a man who got ripped off by a solar panel. So when I called the lawyer this week to say, give me your side of the company of the solar, he says, you're writing a story? He says, I'm going to go to court and get a temporary restraining order to block your story from being free. And I said, what country do you live in? And then he said, what's the other thing? He goes, I said, you lost a $500,000 case. He goes, I'm going to get a judge to issue a gag order on the trial verdict. He said, you can't get a judge to say that the verdict is secret. And, I mean, these are the kind of numbnuts I got to deal with. We got any other questions or comments? I gave you a lot to work with.
And, so you're gonna be set up, around here for the books?
Yeah, let's tell the folks who are,
To y'all, if you'd like one of these books, just go to davelieber.org, DAVELIEBER, and I will send it to you. But you have to pay shipping, handling, and they don't. So because they're already here, I'm shipping and handling them right here.
Shipping and handling us.
Great, well, save me one, especially,
Wasn't expecting
and it's so great to learn about this great people in history that made a difference. I myself can relate to, this guy right here. I learned a lot about EDS and how he built his companies and the contributions made to society. So that was how I was able to learn about other people and what they were doing. But thank you for making sure that those memories and the stories get told, because as people, again, they're not around. So more people read about the great things, and the better the communities become. So, did we miss any announcements today? Anybody? I do have a reminder to the board members that are here today. We are going to be meeting real quick after for a quick recap board meeting, and we'll go from there. But as a reminder, we don't have a meeting next week. We are doing a coat drive, and then on December the 21st, we are doing the gift and ugly Christmas sweater, and we're gonna follow the directions. That's what we're doing. Yes, sir. The coats go to many helping hands.
I mean, I have some.
Terry.
I'll take them.
Yes, there we go. Awesome. Well, with that, if you guys can, Max, kind of lead us in the four-way test, if everybody can please rise.
Please join me in the four-way test that we as Rotarians think, say, and do. First.
Is it true?
Second.
Is this fair to all concerned?
Third.
Will it build goodwill?
And fourth.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
All right.
Are we meeting at the table out there, or?
Yeah, no, let me, but double check that there's nothing out there.
I got a notice on board meetings or something.
No, just, if you already, I mean, if you have like a quick couple, they also are, but if you already are, just kind of know what's going on, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'll walk out there in a minute.
Yeah.
Say something. I mean,
Yep.
basically the only thing that I'd want to do is given scholarships in the past.
Yep. And they're needing that just because they're asking me for it too, so I'm like, I can only do it. I'll be kind of good to see if we can put together. They're not asking for a lot either. It's like a, students have been free, right? That's great. No, student had nothing to do.
So graduating seniors.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
At the end of the year, I mean, typically we've been let them do the selection.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing, so.
Yeah.
So, yep, let's do that, so.
Okay, I'll come out there real quick.
Perfect, we'll get you first then.